The AirPod Pros are hands down my favorite headphone for a Pixel device in addition to an Apple device. What's up, everybody? This is Scott. Welcome back to another video. Well, in today's video, due to a big thanks for our friends at Verizon, I'm going to be doing a review on the Apple AirPods Pro. So let's just jump right into it. Just like I do with all my other headphone reviews, I'm going to talk about price and Bluetooth and sound quality and design and gestures, and you get the general gist. So from the design perspective, these are IPX4 water resistant, which means basically don't go swimming with them. You can get them wet a little bit from like basically working out or going for a run or getting caught in a rainstorm or something like that. But don't go swimming, don't submerge them in water. I'm sure they would work after the fact. Definitely don't put them through a washing machine like I did with my original AirPods, because they for sure will not survive a washing machine. Pro tip from me to you on that one. Now the Pros do come with the rubber tips, which is again a little bit different than the original AirPods before. I found the rubber tips to be really comfortable, mostly due to the sheer fact that I took the time to get the right size. Now, normally right out of the box, I wear like a medium tip in my ear. I found that I had to take these off and go to a much smaller tip. In the iOS app, when you're kind of going through making sure that you got this all set up the right way, you can do this kind of sound seal test. Now you can see on screen right now, I got a good seal the first time, but I kind of slightly modified it to see what would happen. And come to find out, I did not have a good seal that time. So again, make sure that you take the time to get a good seal. That's going to help a lot with the noise cancellation, but also it's going to help a lot when it comes to just straight up non-ear fatigue. I found these to be extremely comfortable when wearing them for long periods of time, and more on the battery life here in a minute, but I could go continuously 3-4 hours and feel zero fatigue at all when it came to wearing the Pros. Another thing you're going to notice is the case on the Pros is significantly larger, mostly from a hamburger or horizontal style rather than a vertical style. My guess is obviously batteries and something of that nature, but also from the sheer fact that the Pros are significantly shorter than that of the original AirPods. It's almost comically large when you have a original AirPod in your ear in comparison to the Pro. I never really thought it was that big of a deal. There was always those jokes in the beginning about the original AirPods, but when you have a Pro in your ear versus an original, it looks comically large from the original standpoint. And the Pros just, in my personal opinion, just look a lot better when they're in ear. They fit better, they sound better, and they're just kind of overall better than the original AirPods. And that says a lot because I actually really like the original AirPods. These are headphones after all, so what do they sound like? Well, the Pros come equipped with that brand new H1 chip from Apple, which means it's going to power the transparency mode, the noise cancellation mode, and the Hey Siri mode if you were to be a person who used the Hey Siri. The vocals in a lot of songs is really going to be dependent upon the type of song. So I'm going to give you a couple examples that I used. Mac Miller, I used Bill Withers. I also used Al Green, a wide variety of songs there from a lot of different generations. So I wanted to pick up on what the vocals, and overall on all three of those choices, the vocals sounded great. So at high volumes, they really came out almost piercing in each individual case. I would say about 80% of the volume is where you really want to be. That way you have a nice mix of vocals, a nice mix of mids, and a nice mix of the bass that really keeps you going. I found that in Let's Stay Together with Al Green, the mids and the bass sounded fantastic. It was a perfect mix with the vocals. Mac Miller was almost a little bit too much vocals. I had to back the volume down a little bit. It was a really good mix with the bass that I was looking for, but it all came together in the Bill Withers song, A Lovely Day. It was just a fantastic listen overall. I even had the volume at a pretty high level, about 90-95% when I was using it through my Pixel. It just sounded, honestly, it just sounded great. I kind of put the song on repeat a couple times to see if I could pick up on anything. The mids didn't muddy at all. The bass was nice and thumpy, exactly what I wanted to feel. And the vocals just kind of poured out. Not too much to where it really pinged or pierced me, but overall I really enjoyed the sound. I thought the sound quality out of the Pros, one, it's significantly better than the original AirPods, and probably my favorite ones that I've reviewed this year, really close to the Powerbeats Pro. Because I do take a lot of phone calls from work, this is something I always like to talk about in the sound quality section, is the fact of what's the call volume like and what's the microphone usage like. Call volume and call listening, it was actually great. I found the noise cancellation helped a ton because we do have a lot of kids running through the house, dogs and things of that nature. Throw in the AirPods and then turn on the noise cancellation mode, and I was able to pay attention to those phone calls. However, one thing I'm going to note, everybody on the other end of the call said I needed to talk a little bit louder than I normally do. That could be because the microphone's slightly shorter, since the Pros are a little bit shorter than the original AirPods. But overall, I had to talk a little bit louder to make sure folks could hear me on the other end. So be advised, that might be the only thing that you need to work on. Real quick on the Bluetooth and the latency perspective, I didn't experience anything at all like that. At this point, I think I'm going to kind of retire this completely from the category, because every single headphone I've reviewed this year has had very minimal, if no Bluetooth issues, no latency issues, nothing like that. From a battery life perspective, Apple says you get 24 hours in the case and then 5 hours with no noise cancellation mode on, and 4.5 hours if you do have them on. I found that the 30-minute trade-off was more than well worth it. It charges so fast in the case that even if I were to just kind of take them out of my ears, put them in for 5-10 minutes, that more prolonged the life. I was using it for 3 and 4 hours and I didn't have any battery issues at all. So gestures. Let's talk about what iOS has versus non-iOS. You have the ability to have Siri. You also have the ability to control the AirPod Pros through kind of the interface of an Apple device. You can see on screen right now that you can control and change transparency mode and noise cancellation mode inside the phone. You don't have to like long press on any of the stems or anything like that. Now, again, that's kind of nice, but the biggest thing that I've noticed is that you just get to use Siri. That's really the biggest discrepancy that I see between using it on just an iOS device or anything that's not an iOS device. Now, that being said, you get all of the same bells and whistles for Android that I would expect to use with an iOS device, meaning I can long press on either one of the stems of the Pros and turn on noise cancellation mode or transparency mode, or turn both of those modes off and just use them as standard earbuds. Now, that hands down for me makes these a no-brainer. If you're going to spend $250, which is what they are, these are hands down a no-brainer. My favorite headphones of 2019 for any device that includes the Pixel. The ability to have noise cancellation, which is fairly decent overall. It's like not crazy noise cancellation when you have over the cans, but from a noise cancellation perspective, the idea that I can have something so small inside my ear that has the ability to do noise cancellation as good as the Pros do, no question I'm going to use these for my Pixel device every single day of the week and twice on Sundays. For an iOS device, it is hands down no-brainer. I'm going to use these more than I'm going to use the Powerbeats Pro or even the original AirPods at this point. I kind of roll this right into the fact that, do I recommend it? I just mentioned it before. There's no question that I'm going to recommend these for either an Android device or an iOS device. If you have iOS, it's a no-brainer. And the fact that I can use a Pixel device, my preferred device, and I get noise cancellation headphones that last a long while, that barely stick inside my ears, that I can just kind of go on the fly, no question I'm going to use them every single day of the week. Honestly, I'm really surprised that Apple didn't handicap these things to not use, a non-transparency mode or can't use noise cancellation for something not an iOS device. The fact that they opened that up to be able to be used by something other than an iOS device gives me a little bit of hope for some Apple products. I don't know if that's something I can say, but I'm stunned at how much I love the Pros. Hands down, one of my favorite things that I reviewed this year. So that's it. That's all I have. Sorry for the rambling. I'm kind of getting back in the swing of things. Using a different lens in a different spot, I'll get a little bit better, but let me know what you think of the new studio. Let me know what you think. Did you buy the AirPods Pro? If you did, leave a comment below. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you love them as much as I did. And that's it. That's all I have. As always, like, share, subscribe, thumbs up, leave a comment below, and we will see you next time.